If there's one thing we know, it's that when politicians get involved with tech, only good things happen. Is usually not the case. It's fun to dunk on them when it does. We did it a couple times last week. We're going to do it again today. There is a serious side to this not so critical update. So join John and I fucked that up. I'm going to start over.
It was so
Stop.
good.
Stop.
Well,
Stop.
so
Stop.
good.
Trump's people announced last week. Now, I think it was last week, the anticipated launch of Truth Social and started taking pre-registrations. A couple people actually figured out how to register. And this is where the trouble begins, because it turns out those people who were able to register recognized the platform almost immediately as Mastodon, an open source social media platform that the organization ripped off wholesale without crediting and without following the licensing terms of the software. So this could be intentional. More likely it was due to incompetence. However, the consequences are about the same. They've been given 30 days to fix the problem, which means making their platform open source. And I have not seen an update on how they expect to handle that, but the clock is running.
There is so much good here. It's hard to I don't even know where to begin. But I guess what I wanted to say to jump us in is Mastodon in 30 days, less, in 3 weeks, will have a couple of fun things that they're going to be able to do. But mainly, they're going to be able to report this as it is licensing theft, it's copyright theft, it's at this point intellectual property theft. When someone does this, and it most likely instantly will get approved because it has so much traffic, everyone knows about this pretty much, who's relevant. Things like hosting providers will stop hosting you. Registrars might even stop recognizing you, saying no to you. It will be a never-ending party, and I am so excited. It's like Christmas came early.
It's good to see you with a smile on your face, John. I'm a little bit less positive, less enthusiastic about it. I think it's great, and it's ironic that they're using open source software and didn't ask for permission and now have to make it open source. I'm skeptical that anything's actually going to happen. I think it might be a bit of a letdown, unfortunately.
Well, I think, okay, so one thing that, okay, first off, I'm not politically affiliated with neither side or third party, so I'm not like, oh, screw Trump or screw Joe Biden. I just find it really funny when a person like Donald Trump gets banned on three of the biggest platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, pretty much all within the same week. Says, I'm going to make my own social media platform. It's going to be the best platform, and we're going to be able to echo chamber it up in there. And like you said, Mike, invites only currently. The website's up, and people figured out, a couple of people figured out that they were able to get in. They took the usernames Donald Trump. They took the username Donald J. Trump, administrator, admin, like really play level stuff, one-on-one stuff of like creating a forum, of disabling certain types of usernames were just overlooked. And they posted on this new social medium, they posted a pinned post of a pig defecating on something. I forget what it was, but it's just like, it doesn't get any better. How do you do this? Who have you hired, that said, yeah, let's just steal Mastodon's code without licensing appropriately and keeping it closed source? It's just too good. It's
so
too
where
good.
Parler failed after at least having already launched.
Yeah.
This platform started entirely under the premise, like you said, that Twitter, Facebook totally dropped the ball. We're going to do it right. Before they've even launched, have had significant security problems and
Yep.
have significant licensing problems of the software itself. And
Yeah.
I am not even a little bit surprised.
No.
Yeah, I no, me neither. I just it's it would here's the thing. Like 4 years ago, I would have found this much funnier, and it is such a complete, but it's so typical. It's so like run of the mill these days. They just mess the whole thing up. Of course, they chose off open source software that wasn't licensed. Of course, they did. Probably they used copyright material for their logos, or didn't pay the contractor. And
They
then
didn't even
there's
change
going to
the
be a
Mastodon logos, I think, originally.
Oh
Really?
God.
I thought I read that was part of what the people found, was that some of the logos in the software itself were the original default Mastodon logos.
I would bet that the way that they found it in was, well, I mean, one possibility is a disgruntled employee who didn't get paid, or I don't know, was
Right.
shunned, or somehow gave the keys to someone else. I mean, if you can think of a way that this could go wrong, I think this could be another prediction for us. Is how many different ways will they mess this up? Like, what else? What other? I bet you anything that wait, it's on Mastodon, so probably the passwords are being hashed, but there's probably like a password reset thing that sends it in plain text that you can twiddle where the reset thing goes to. That's my
I didn't see if there was an
something like that.
expected launch day, but I think the bet could be, do they ever actually go public with this platform? And I'd probably say no even on that. But even if
Source
we put
code.
like 6 months on it, I would say no.
With the source or the actual platform.
The
But
platform.
the thing is, oh well, no. See, I think that's actually going to happen, because
Yeah.
I reckon that Trump's going to try and run again in 2 years, 2024.
So they'll resolve the licensing issue,
They'll do something.
pay somebody
They'll probably
off,
replace it.
get past it.
Yeah, I think they'll ignore it at first. They'll let themselves get taken to court, and in that time they'll come up with some replacement. They'll deny that it was. They'll say that, oh, we have a perfectly legitimate. We didn't collude with the communists.
We have the best
we're allowed
platform.
to use this. We have the best platform, better than your platform. Yeah.
So
They'll come up with some.
What I'm trying to figure out about this story is what's the like more cynical side. So we talked last time about the Missouri governor, who, I think I have the article here on this one too. Missouri governor who had a reporter arrested for quote unquote hacking the Department of Education site by viewing the source code, recognizing that there were some hashed social security numbers in there, and verifying that they were social security numbers of actual employees of the local government. And that, our take was that this was just exposing the Missouri governor as a Luddite who doesn't understand how the internet works. However, more recently, the talk has been that he's kind of doubling down on it and saying, no, I want this reporter to be arrested. And it's starting to almost look like a direct attack on the free press. And that this is just a tool to do so. So was it an opportunistic way to do it, or is it just they were looking for any excuse? I guess those would kind of technically be the same thing. But it's a much darker side to the story.
Oh, I see.
About, just kind of fun to make fun of the incompetence or negligence or whatever. So that's what I'm wondering about this Truth Social story is, how does this get twisted or contorted to be used as a weapon to prove that there's fake news is saying that this thing is true, and Mastodon's a hack trying to cause trouble because he's the president, or blah, 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 blah. Like, that's the part of it I'm still worried about.
Yeah, I suppose that's possible.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, especially, states have their own laws. As we know, Missouri has some weird, wacky laws regarding computer intrusion. I guess an argument can be made, depending on where the site was hosted. If they viewed the source code and saw that it was Mastodon in some image name file that they didn't change the ref to, Yeah, I could see something like that happen. Now but we are going through, hypothetical scenarios. What I think what's most likely um, going to happen is what you said a little bit earlier, which is they will take this to court. They'll drag it out. Trump has insane amounts of money and resources. They'll drag it out long enough to replace the code and create something of their own, I hope. My prediction, and I'll loop it back to the predictions, is no matter what they write, okay, because we know that they clearly like to skip the line, take shortcuts. Um, this is going to take as little time as Parler did before we're getting some major hacks and attacks,
Ah,
and it's going to be just the juiciest of steaks.
do you know what though? That's actually the the kind of the one downside to them using the Mastodon stuff is that it's probably quite well written, and all the obvious security holes would have already been. If they, I quite like them to have tried to develop the whole thing themselves, and then that would have been full of that would have been just like a
Yeah.
series of a comedy of errors of
The
like.
security problems they've already had using already tested software. Imagine what they could have done on their own. Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful to
But
think
you can
about.
see
that
how
would be
little
great.
they understood of that software. They literally right click, download everything. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
just copied it and they had no idea what they were copying. They were like, yeah, we just edit the HTML and CSS and we're good to go. But really, there's so much more. And
yeah.
people are
Which-
already taking advantage of it.
Just like Facebook did when they started Facebook. It's like already when they started
Right.
Facebook.
All
What
right.
a slightly more sinister aspect to this is that maybe they were entirely aware of the license and just chose to ignore it. That's actually happened to me a long time ago. I created a website and it got quite popular. It's called Prague.tv. It was a English language portal for people living in Prague and visiting Prague. It had like job listings and all this stuff. And there was a rival guy called expats.cz, and basically the same thing, except he was running on PHPBB or some like PHP forum. I really didn't like this guy because he was just using stock software, and we built ours from the ground up. And I just thought we were doing everything the right way, and he wasn't. Also, he was a bit of an asshole, but anyway. One time we caught him ripping off the source code from our site, like even the meta description keywords in the HTML. By the way, I probably should have reported him to the Information Superhighway Police at the time. I didn't realize that was an option. But yeah, on his site he had exactly the same string of meta keywords and stuff. He just copied and pasted it from our stuff, and I got really upset. And I told him, and I was like, "Well, no!" I sent angry emails. I think he might have gotten drunk and gone around to his office or something, and and what happened was that he just kind of tweaked it so that it wasn't a straight up copy anymore. And he got what he needed out of it. He had a working site that was functional and got the people to go to it, and that he could then promote. And then when he got challenged about it, he just conformed to what he needed to do, or he paid some poor designer. It's the people who don't have the morals who just kind of skip the proper steps around, and it's sadly they get what they want a lot of the time.
Well, there is a clock on the story. So we're about a week into a 30-day deadline. We'll see what happens and be back with an update.